Hi, this is Maggie from Design Code Debug Repeat. Thank you for stopping by the channel. I recently taught my introductory programming students how to read from a text file in Python, and the errors that came up were really interesting. That same day, a student in my game programming class had trouble loading an image for a game with the same error from Python. I don't know if I've seen all of the errors now, but I've seen a lot of them, so I thought I'd make a video on troubleshooting the reading errors. Let's start with this program. Now, it doesn't matter how you're opening the file. I start with very simple syntax in which we just open the file, but even if we wrap it in a try except block and use the with statement, it's still going to throw an exception if the file isn't found. The student shows me the directory, and I can see the program called fileerrors.py, and I can see the text file called movies_file.txt. And they have the program open in Python, but when they run it, Python throws the exception FileNotFoundError, no such file or directory, movies_file.txt. Okay, so let's cover the basics. Right now, we're using the name of the file to open the file. No path through directories, so that means the file must be in the same directory as the program. And what else? We want to make sure the name, which is a string, is enclosed in quotes. We want to make sure the name is the same in the directory as it is in our program. So we check all that and it looks right. What's going on? Believe it or not, this happened with at least 3 students while I was teaching yesterday, so please don't think this is some sort of trick. What could the problem possibly be? It really has to be that Python can't see the file, so the program I'm looking at in idle must not be the program that's in the directory with the file. And that is what the problem is. If I open the file that's in the directory with the text file, I can see that it's empty. I don't know exactly how my students came to have 2 files with the same name, one in a folder and one out of a folder, but they did, and they were editing the one out of the folder. So to fix that problem, we only need to delete the blank file and move the file we're editing into the folder with the text file. Okay, next error. Everything looks about the same, right? I have my directory with my program and my text file. I've confirmed that the text file name and the file name in the program are the same. I've confirmed that the file that I'm editing is the file that's in the directory with the program. Yet, when I run the program, Python tells me the file isn't found. What's going on? This is another problem that I saw repeatedly yesterday and in the past, and it didn't do any good, by the way, to warn students about these problems in advance. It's hard when you're learning something to anticipate and guard against every problem, because you have too much to focus on. I think you have to make a few mistakes and then learn how to fix them. At least I know I do, and a lot of my students do as well. I warned my students not to name their programs .text in Windows at the desktop or System Explorer. I can choose View, and then check this little file name extensions checkbox, and then you might notice that .txt is both part of the name and the extension. So I would recommend always having that box checked. You want to know the type of your files anyway. We might have noticed it wasn't checked if we were astute. When it's not checked, we don't see the .py extension on our program. So if I rename the program without the extra .txt, it now works correctly. Okay, what else did I see yesterday? I saw some students getting stuck on the file reference variable having the same name as the text file. The file reference variable should be named something that's internally meaningful to the program. You don't necessarily know what the file name will be. You might get that from the user in a program, or you might get it from the operating system. Maybe you get all of the files in a directory and open and read them. In other courses, I've seen students check that the user has given them a file with a particular name. For example, if I've given a test case with a file called empty.txt, they've checked to see if the file is called empty.txt to determine if it's empty, rather than checking if the file itself has any contents. The file name itself is just data, just a string. It's a way to tell the operating system which file you want to look at. I've seen students get stuck on the name having a space in it and thinking that's what's causing problems, so not checking other properties such as spelling. Once again, it's a string, and a space is a Unicode character just like any other character. It's not causing a problem. This worry from students is probably because we can't have spaces in identifier names in Python. So again, they're treating a file name a little like a variable name and not like data. Okay, and here's another one. Everything looks much the same as before, but when I run the program, Python can't find the file. I've checked everything. Files in the right directory, programs in the right directory. This is the program I'm editing, and the file name looks correct. I'm showing the extensions. You might see it. This is a silly one, but I've seen stuff like this happen. The file name isn't moviesfile.txt. Let me copy that file name. And paste it into my program. And when I do that, you might notice that's a 1 and not an L. There are glyphs that can look like other glyphs in some fonts, but they're different characters or code points. That's probably not going to happen so often, especially if you're creating the files and the program, or you're getting the file names from the operating system. But it's definitely something that can happen to beginners. It can also just happen if you have trouble reading the file names. I had a student spell a file name incorrectly in their program, and I didn't see it either. I copied the file name from the directory, like I just did, and pasted it into the program. And then I saw the name was longer than it had been in their program. And then I saw the misspelling. Okay, last one. This is a little different because it's not a FileNotFoundError. My program is working now, but it's not printing all of the movies in my text file. But it worked before. What happened? In this case, and I saw this repeatedly yesterday, the text file has been edited but not saved. You can tell by the asterisk. A lot of my students expected the text file to autosave, but it didn't. So all I have to do to fix this one is save the text file. And now my program shows all of the movies. I hope you find these troubleshooting tips helpful. If you've had a different problem, please comment with the problem and solution. I'm sure the problems I see are related to the problems I pose to my students, so they're not exhaustive. I hope we can all help each other, have fun, and keep coding.